Welcome to the Queer Confidence Podcast, the podcast to help you become your most confident queer self. I'm your host, he, she, they, Coach Alex Ray, and I haven't always been this confident. In fact, I used to be super insecure. And through this show, I want to share with you what's worked for me, my clients, and my guests so that you can become more confident. Hello, my unicorns. Welcome back to another special guest episode of the Queer Confidence Podcast. I am so excited today to introduce you to comedian, co-host of the Dom Pop podcast, and my hair idol, Quincy Bazen.
Hello. Wait, I love that you pronounced my last name correctly. I feel like I'm at home here.
I'm so glad. You know, usually I check that before we hit record, and I forgot to. And
you
then
didn't need to. You were so strong and right. You were like, I love it.
Excellent. Thank you. In my head, I hesitated there for a moment. Was like, oh, fuck. Just go for it. We can re-record if we need to.
No, you got it. You nailed it. All of my teachers in high school shaking.
What? Why? How do they usually? Your last name seems sort of easy to pronounce to me.
I think so. It's like there's an E, which makes you assume that you should think it's a hard A noise. But no, people go Bazen all the time.
Bazen.
I get mail still to this day that says Brazen. I'm like, we're just throwing in extra letters now. But you should just teach a seminar, and then we'll be good to go.
I mean, Brazen, what an iconic name to have.
I thought about changing my name before I started pursuing my career. I thought about just adding an asterisk over the A, not an asterisk, but an
accent.
Thank you. Oh my God. An accent over the A, just so people knew exactly where to hit it. But then all my friends told me it looked too pretentious, so I didn't do it.
I mean, pretentious might not even be bad in this industry anyway.
And that's what I would say. Everyone has to be a little bit pretentious to make it, right? So if I don't make it, I'm going to blame my friends for not letting me put the accent on my A.
Well, at least you have someone else to blame, so that you don't have to take the blame yourself.
Ever, okay?
Right.
I'm not here to take responsibility for my actions. All right.
The perfect introduction to a podcast on confidence. Oh my God. Okay. No, for real though. Give everyone a little introduction. Ooh, that sounds dirty. Okay. Introduction to yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
God, put me on the spot. I'm not used to being the center of attention. That's not true. Okay. My name is Quincy Bazen, like you nailed. I am a comedian living in Los Angeles, California. But I still feel new to LA. I just moved here, like we were talking about before we recorded. I just moved here after the pandemic in 2021. Before that, I was in San Diego for a couple of years. I think San Diego was like my toe step into moving to California because I just moved across the country without a job, without anything. I just wanted to be, where the lights and beaches are. But my best friend at the time who I moved with hates LA, the lack of taste. So I couldn't convince her to move with me. So we did San Diego. And I loved that. But before that, I was actually a tour manager for the world's largest student film festival, which feels like another lifetime now. But I was the director of that festival for a couple of years. And before that, I was a Navy brat. I moved. Can I curse? Do we curse?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. We like to say the fuck word here.
Okay, great. Because I was going to say I moved what historians have called a fuck ton of times before I graduated high school. I think it was like 14 or 15 times before I graduated high school. And then through a loophole, ended up in Florida because of in-state tuition. Okay. And is that a bio? I don't know. I need to work on my elevator pitch for myself, I guess.
I think that works.
I'm a child of the world is what I'm trying to say. I grew up in Europe mostly. And then, yeah. Oh my God, that was awful. I need a button. I need a hook. I have no hook or button. I love that I told that story in reverse too. Sorry for those of you trying to keep track. I was just bouncing all around.
I'm ADHD. Everyone listening knows that. Okay, great.
And I didn't take my Adderall this morning. So, okay.
Y'all, welcome to the most chaotic episode ever. Here we go.
Anyone who listens to my podcast also expects nothing but chaos. So,
absolutely.
If you're from Dom Pop, you're right at home.
Yeah. Okay. Tell everyone a little bit about your show.
Oh, Dom Pop. Product of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So many podcasts are. My best friend and I, our entire text thread for the past decade has just been us talking about the pop girls and what these rollouts, or like what our favorite rollouts are, how the singles are stacking up, and it's just all this like stupid gay conversation, that that we love to have. And I was like, I bet there are people who are interested in having these faggy conversations with us. And
I don't know. Not many gays are into pop music.
no, it's pretty niche. I'm learning. It's pretty niche. But I mean, we started it in 2021, and we're in our third season now. And every week we just tackle an album. We go track by track, which is really fun. We get to talk not only like the big hits that everybody knows, but like the deep cuts, and we get to do just everybody. We just did our 100th episode couple months ago.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It's I don't know. It's fun. It's nice. So like of course during the pandemic, it was nice to just like keep in touch with my bestie. But now it's it's work, as I'm sure like it's work to stay on top of it. But it's a project we're both really, really passionate about. And now we've started interviewing other artists, which is super exciting.
Ooh.
And kind of adding new elements to it. The best part about it though is every year we do our own award show because we don't care about the Grammys, but the Dominies ... is where it's at. Okay. That's where the real winners are awarded. Okay.
Yes.
But I love it. It's just a fantasy. We just live in our own little fantasy world and we kiki, and for whatever reason, people seem to like to listen to it. So it all works out.
Yeah. I listened to part of a couple episodes because I wanted to learn a little bit about you before having you on the show. And I love the like BDSM dominatrix vibe that you all have with the show.
Well, see, because the T is in my not pre-performing, because I performed all my life, but pursuing performing full time. I was a marketing gay, like so many other gays are. And so I'm big on the branding. I love to brand. I love to put my Canva Pro membership straight to work. So, and I think all of that came from, I think all of the dominatrix stuff came from, we were just like shooting this shit about what we were going to call the podcast. When we were developing it, it was called Pop Goes Poof. But then again, like I couldn't see it. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't see the structure or whatever. And then my friend, who I think was single at the time, someone messaged him about they were looking for a dom top, and I was like, that's it, it's dom pop, and it's just this BDSM gay music fantasy, and the rest is herstory.
There you go.
Quite frankly.
The whip sound effects do it for me. Yeah.
Hey, in the demo of the pilot. See, I can be pretentious. I don't need the accent. We have I was trying to incorporate like handcuff noises and like shackling, and I'm like, no, it's too much. Like you got to simplify it. Like it's too much. But yes, love a good whip.
Absolutely. I don't do any sound effects on this podcast yet, but if and when I do, that's absolutely at the top 3 sound effects. I
never did it. I did an interview a couple weeks ago on one of my friend's podcasts, and she basically records live with like a soundboard and an iPad. So anytime either one of us wanted to play a sound effect, we just pressed the corresponding button, and there was like a shade rattle, or there was I'm like, wait, you might have cracked this code, because that's way less work also than the 7 hours of editing I'm doing every week.
Right.
So, I don't know. I might have to look into that.
That's a great idea. Send me that info when you get it.
Okay,
I want the instant soundboard. No, I don't like listening back to it later and editing. I make notes as I go if there's any parts that I need to clip,
So as I'm rambling, you're like, okay, well, we're cutting whatever the fuck he's saying right now.
Right. I have lost interest. I'm looking out the window. I have no idea what we're talking about anymore. Right. Yeah.
I feel like I enjoy it better when because we've done so many episodes now, sometimes we're not always doing an album that we're obsessed with, which I think is part of the reason we wanted to interject interviews now, is I don't ever want it to become a chore. I want it, it's work, but it's work that I'm passionate about. But the second we're just talking about an album because we have to put out an episode, then neither of us are enthusiastic. And then those are the episodes that I find that I'm not really having fun editing, because I can have fun editing. I used to be a video editor for a long time. I think it's good for my ADHD too. It's very detail oriented, and it's a good task. But again, like if the content isn't interesting to me as the producer, then like I don't really feel like it's going to be that interesting to the consumers either, you know?
Uh, yeah, 100%. So
Well,
you're in the right industry. Absolutely. All right. Tell us a little bit more. I want to hear more about your journey um, becoming a comedian.
becoming a comedian.
Yeah, like how the fuck did you get here? Have you always known that you wanted to get into comedy? Is this like a newer thing?
No,
Okay.
it's a newer thing. I hate to keep talking about the pandemic, but it really was a
An
formative time.
awakening.
Right. Well, I mean, I think for so many people, it gave us an opportunity to really sit with the lives that we've made, you know, physically, obviously. Like I'm in this space. Who
Mhm.
are the people that I've surrounded myself with? Where am I at with my life? You know, I was fortunate enough that I didn't lose my job. I was already working remotely for that film festival prior to the pandemic. So for the record, I was working remote before it was cool. But
Same here for
I
like
love I love
shining our credentials.
you know what it is, and maybe we'll get into this later in like the confidence portion, but I just like I really struggle with authority and I really struggle with anyone telling me what to do ever. So the
Hmm.
freedom of working remote was a beacon for me
Hmm.
from the onset, I think, of my professional life. But I mean, I've always been a performer. I've been an actor since I was 7, 6. My mom loves to tell the story about me disappearing in the McDonald's playground. And then when she found me 10 minutes later, I was yelling action and I had recreated like a retelling of the Titanic with all of these children I had just met in the
Oh
McDonald's
my
playground.
God.
Because on top of being a performer my entire life, I've been a control freak since I came out of the womb. But you know, like I said, I grew up on military bases. I moved pretty much every single year. So like I would, you know, finish my grade and then we'd move during the summer, do a grade and during the summer. And so all I had as a constant was theater. And I would just seek out theater. And, you know, theater freaks are easy to bond with because, you know, we're all a bit of an outcast. And, you know, as the perpetual new kid on the block, it was easy for me to kind of like just sink my teeth into that and chart a way
Mm.
forward. So I majored in theater. But nowhere where majoring in theater mattered. I was in Tampa, Florida.
Mm.
And I got involved with this film festival, and then it hit me. I was like, well, I don't really need a degree in theater if I want to pursue acting. Like, I can just pursue acting. So I changed my major to mass comm and then got involved with the film festival, yada, yada, yada. And then was actually pursuing writing and directing for a while. And right before the pandemic, I was working on a web series called Rest in Pieces. Um, Kind of autobiographical, but only in the sense that like the characters had like my character had my own name and it was just like this kind of cartoon version of myself and me and my two best friends who were the other characters. And I wrote and directed it, and it was actually meant to be a 6-part like full-length 30-minute sitcom fantasy. But we
Incredible.
were kind of, because one of my friends lived in Denver at the time, our shooting schedule was kind of staggered. And so by the time the pandemic hit, we only had one episode shot in full, and it was the third episode. So I ended up, I was just like so itching to like do something. I was like, well, okay, well, I'll scrap everything else and I'll just put this episode out as its own web series. And so I chopped it up into 3 bits and I promoted it over 2020. And then I was just kind of twiddling my thumbs in 2021, started the podcast, and I was like, okay, that's great. But then after 4 months, I was like, I need more. Like, I'm not fulfilled. I wasn't doing any theater, I wasn't doing any acting, but I didn't have the tools or the community anymore to be doing full like web series episodes. I'm like, what can I do 100% of the time with my own time? Like, what can I devote as much effort as I want to and see that progress? And I ended up turning to stand up because I was like, well, I can tell these stories and I can do the performing thing and I can do the writing thing. And I don't need to like fly my friend in from Denver. I don't need to fly my cinematographer down from San Francisco. I don't need to get 5 people together for 3 days at a time, which is way harder than it sounds also when you have no money. And so
Yes.
it became, I don't know, I guess it was born out of necessity, but now, you know, I'm in the process of writing like 2 different one-man shows. And I think that that's something I'm finding about my voice as a comedian too, is like I think for a while I was stuck in this mindset of, okay, stand up is like you go up and you're like, well, here's this and here's this joke, blah blah blah. But that was never my writing style, and it's never been my performing style either. So I think specifically the last year or so, trying to weave in my own identity into my material has been really fun. Like, I think if you come see one of my shows, I'm very conversational. I'm just like geeking with my girls, and I'm an open book. So I talk about all kinds of stuff from like my mental health to my sex life and things like that. And so I think that, I don't know, it's a very much an ongoing journey, and it's very much something I'm still learning about. I'm putting up my first hour this fall, with plans, knock on wood, to do another one next spring, because I just want to like kind of throw everything I've got at the wall and then see what fucking happens, you know, because I just can't, I just want to wait around. I'm too impatient also, is another thing to know about me. I'm the most impatient person I know. So I mean, even just like the last year that it's taken to kind of like work on the material and get to it, like I would be doing it every fucking day if I could and didn't need to like pay bills and, you know, do regular bullshit stuff.
Yes. Totally.
Sorry, that was a super long answer. I hope it made sense. I hope we tracked it from.
Oh, it absolutely did. Yeah. I think one of the, do you have another job that supports you too while you do all this?
Yeah, I still do copywriting. So I do like copywriting for like a medical marijuana company.
Great.
It's like any like fun, cutesy little weed strain you're reading about. I could have wrote it.
Probably did. If there's a lot of accents on all the A's, you know.
That's how you know. That's my calling card. That is my calling card.
I think it's important for people to hear that too, because I know being around the world of like a lot of entrepreneurs for the last, oh God, how many years? 7 years. Really got this image that, oh, you just sort of like quit everything, you go all in, and then you're just successful. And then that is not how the world works. That's not how it works. And I love hearing other people that are willing to be like, oh no, like this is my dream. This is my passion. This is what my main thing. But like, I also have like a fucking full-time job that supports all this shit. Like that's...
Yeah, dude. I mean, even when I first moved to LA and people were asking me like what I did, I would tell them that I was a copywriter, which like I look back and I'm like, why did I ever tell anybody that? Like, if that's like where I get 90% of my income, and like that's how, like, it's what I have to do to like support myself and support it's like my family. But I'm that's not who I am. That's what that's what I have to do to support what I am, which is like a performer, an actor, a comedian. But you're absolutely right. Like, nobody talks about the hustle as much as I hate that, the grind, quote unquote. But it's very real and very prevalent in my life, and I think most other performers' lives.
Yeah. Also, like, golden tip number 1 of the day: if you are pursuing a like new career, if you're pursuing a new future, whatever it is, stop identifying yourself with the old version.
I saw some.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I saw some tweet, like, I actually think it was before the pandemic. So I wish I could attribute the quote, but it was basically like, if you're stop calling yourself like an aspiring filmmaker or aspiring director. Like, if you're making anything, like, you're doing it. Like, that's what you are. Like, adding the aspiring in front of it is already minimalizing what you're doing, and it just puts out that energy that you don't view yourself as on par with all these other people in the industry. Like, it's a mentality for yourself, it's a mentality for others, because Lord knows the other half of the work is networking and getting other people to believe in you. So that's something that I forgot about, I think, for a long time. But in the past year, I've been trying to just own it, you know, just fake it till you make it.
Yeah. And it's not even really faking it at that point, though.
Yeah, also true. See, there I go again. See, like, I'm still, it still feels like faking. Everything feels like faking, even when you're making.
Yeah. Even orgasms sometimes. No, don't fake orgasms.
Not in my experience.
I have before faked orgasms, but it was just like I was so miserable, and this is like a few years ago, like hooking up, and I was like, I just want to get out of here. I'm like, oh wow, that was great. Okay, thank you, bye.
Well, you see, the problem with men faking orgasms, or those of us with penises faking orgasms, is there really has to be evidence of such an orgasm. And I'm like, well, I'm not here to like give you exhibit A. Like, I'm just going to have to figure out a way to come and then get the fuck out of here.
I would pretend when I was topping, and I'd be like, oh God, it's in there. Okay, bye. And then like, I get to leave before they find out that they had no deposit.
Oh, sad story for them. Sad story.
Tragic.
No, I
Anyway,
think
we don't fake anymore.
no, 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 no. I don't think I've ever faked an orgasm, actually.
Hmm.
I just would genuinely, I just be like, okay, I'm good. I don't think it's gonna happen for me, babe.
Yes. Honesty. I love that. See, we were talking also, y'all, before starting about how we've learned that honesty is, oh my God, so important in relationships, but we'll get to that later.
It's true.
I want to hear more about your coming out journey because you told me that you grew up in the military, moving around everywhere, and then came to the States in college. Like, when did you come out, and what was that like for you? I've never interviewed anyone on the podcast that's had to come out in like a military family setting.
Well, this is actually what my show is about. My show is called Don't Ask, Don't Tell,
Love
and
it.
it's all about. I mean, just that it's about my journey growing up, in a conservative Christian military home abroad. When I was in high school, I went to high school in Bahrain, which is a country off the coast of Saudi Arabia. So very, pick my words carefully. I wouldn't say that it's the most liberal place you could go.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not the most forward thinking. So I think for me, it was like whatever the opposite of exposure therapy is. Like I didn't meet a gay person until I was in college back in the States. And it was very much like I was just thrown into the deep end. I mean, maybe not the deep end because I still went to college in Florida in 2011, but it was like a very crazy awakening to me. I remember I came out to my best friend summer after I graduated high school. I told her that I was bisexual because
Okay.
I believed that I was bisexual. I thought that I would, maybe uh, hook up with some dude, like fiddle at each other a little, and then it'd be out of my system.
Right.
And I was going to marry a woman, and like maybe we just wouldn't have a super exciting sex life, but that was the life ahead of me. And then over the course of my freshman year, for no reason in particular, I guess just like getting older and developing more critical thinking, I came to the conclusion that I was not bisexual and I was just gay. And that in itself was very much okay, obviously. But, I think it's interesting to talk about these things now because, I mean, this was over a decade
Mm-hmm.
ago. Like the thought of being in the closet or the thought of not embracing my queer identity, it makes me laugh. Like I feel like I'm chuckling now because it just seems so far removed from who I am. Like I'm
Right.
just a queer little bitch. Like I love being gay. I love being queer
Yes.
because I think what's so exciting about being queer is like coming out is just the first barrier. Like it's this first fuck you to society that like I don't play by these rules that you've set up for me. I don't have to live within these four walls that you've built around me and you and the world. And once you've broken through that barrier, like every other barrier just seems really weak and feeble. And then
Mm-hmm.
you realize that you can have so much more freedom in your life. You can dress however you want. You can express yourself in any way that you want. You can hang out with people that are really, really fun and interesting and queerer than you are. And that's exciting. And these people are going to bring out more of your identity. And, obviously I live in LA, so it's not that hard to like find these communities here, but
Yeah.
the little bits that I was getting in Florida at the time was really, really exciting. And it almost like in the same way that like when you're like kissing a boy for the first time, like it feels, I don't want to say wrong because obviously I don't think that, but there's like this itch in the back of your mind, like, oh, like what is this? This is strange and it's new to me, but I think I like it and I think I want to explore this more. And I think that that's what a lot of my college years were. And even beyond that, I think that that's what my 20s were. My 20s were coming to not terms, but coming to the light and the joy of just like living as a free queer person.
Love that. Yeah.
There was another long answer for you. Sorry.
I
Habit
don't know
alert.
why you're
Habit
apologizing. This
alert.
is your guest interview. You get to
I
talk
know.
a lot.
I just talk. Literally just went to visit my mom like 2 weeks ago, and she just kept talking and talking and talking. And I'm like, girl, why are you still talking? And then I'm like, oh God, oh God. It's
You're like,
me.
and that's where you get it from.
Literally, it was like my boyfriend and I, we went to Italy because he's from England, so his mom and my mom lives in Italy, and so his mom flew down to Italy to meet us for the weekend. And my mom was just talking her ear off, and his mom was a very good listener. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh look, it's us. There's the talker and there's the listener.
I love it. And now people are going to pay to just let you talk at them for an hour.
Right. Exactly. That's really where I'm happy. It's just with a microphone on stage. I always say that I could have done drag if I wasn't as lazy as I am,
Yeah.
because I just don't have the energy and the stamina that they do
No.
to really put all that
Mm-mm.
extra work into it. But
Mm-mm.
I'm happy to throw a couple knock knocks at you, keep you entertained while I just keep rambling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There I've done drag a couple times and I was like, this is so uncomfortable. It's so much effort ahead of time. I was like, I
I couldn't
bet
do it.
no. No. I got so much respect for drag. Um let's see, was there anything else I wanted to ask you about that? I mean, I was thinking like what was it like? How did your family react to you coming out, and is there any of
I
that you want to share or think would be useful for people to learn from?
Useful? I don't know. Let's see. So I came out to my sister first. My sister's one of my best friends in the world
Mm.
still. I came out to her first. She was great and lovely. And then I came out to my mom. So I came out like over the course of 2013, I came out. And I came out to my sister at the top of the year. It was like January 1st or 2nd or something because I was home for the holidays. And then I came out to my mom that summer, and she was great. She cried, said she knew, and I was like, okay.
Love that.
Um, but my favorite part of that story is the whole week I've been trying to buy this like $300 blazer, but I couldn't bring myself to spend $300, which I mean, when you're 19, it's like
It's
rent, like
so much.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so I had come out to her. We had this really like intense crying moment, and she was flying back to Germany later that night. And so she came up to me again at the end of the night, like hugged me, and then she's like, "I want you to go get that blazer." And then she handed me $300, and I was like, oh.
Aww.
I didn't end up getting the blazer, but I was suddenly $300 richer. Coming out pays, okay? Coming out pays is what I learned. And
I've
then,
never heard that lesson before, and I like it.
yeah, well, you're learning more and more every time you hear a new story, right? It's all about the new perspective. Mine is all
Absolutely.
about financial gain, which is actually why I didn't come out to my dad for so long. Well, like another 6 months, because I was worried that because they were like supporting me while I was in college and like paying my tuition, my rent, and I was worried that they would not do that any longer should he learn the truth about what I'm up to on that campus.
Right.
But it's a very actually dramatic story. I'll spare you the details of, but we had a family meeting. I don't know if you were a family meeting kind of home, but
We did sometimes have some family meetings. It was always bad.
Always bad, of course. Yeah, always bad. And my dad's a military man. He's very, very type A. And, I don't think the details were even about me. Like it was about my brother. My brother was doing something and it just put my dad in a pissy mood. And then he wanted us to have this family meeting. And I don't
Yes.
know about your experience, but whenever I felt like I was going to come out, it was literally like Katie in Mean Girls, like the word vomit. Like I could just feel it coming. My whole body would tense. When I came out to my sister, I just started sobbing because it felt like it was out of my hands. Like I wasn't in the driver's seat anymore. I just knew this was the moment I was going to come out. And that whole meeting, I just had this knot in my stomach. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is what's going to happen. And it was just this massive dramatic screaming match, like between me and my brother and my dad. So dramatic, just so extra. And there was no like fallout per se, in the way that I was worried about there being, but it became, I mean, that was 2013. And I think that it wasn't until 2018 that my dad finally was able to say that he was able to say that I had convinced him that being gay wasn't a choice. So it was like this very prolonged 6-year journey for him, more so than anybody else. And I think for a while I struggled with the idea of like having to take on this role of a teacher because, and I feel this way about a lot of things too, like queer people go through so much. Like I sometimes I struggle with the idea to think that it's fair that we also have to, on top of all of what society has put onto us and put us through, we've got to sit there and we've got to be the bigger person and we've got to be patient and we've got to teach bigots how to be better people. And I struggled with that for a long time. I was very ready to just like wipe my hands and be like, well, if you don't get it, you don't get it. Fuck off. But that's not obviously a super successful communication tactic. So I didn't do that. And my dad's not perfect by any means, but he loves me, he loves my boyfriend, he loves to see me happy, and
awesome.
That's what I try to focus on. So
wow.
yeah.
Do you have anything that you could share that for anyone going through something similar, like what helped you have the patience during that time?
I think, and I don't know how applicable this is across the board, but for me, I always thought of my father as a very, very intelligent person. And I think I got a lot of my intelligence from him and just a lot of my drive and a lot of my type A organizational quirks. All the parts been asked. And I don't know, I just really struggle, not even past tense, because even beyond 2018 and into the pandemic, like these ideas that he had, or these ideas that people like him had, because they're just so quick to believe the propaganda machine about anything that threatens, the white nuclear family's way of life. Right. They're just not interested in it. But I think I realized that if I wasn't going to have the patience and if I wasn't going to maintain communication with him, he's never going to speak to another gay person in his life. Like, he's not going to have anybody who's willing to have these conversations with him. And my parents actually just got divorced this summer, and I think that it's because they couldn't have those conversations anymore. And yes, he's come a long way, but like some things you just can't shake. If you think the election's stolen, I don't know what to tell you, because I can only send you so many links and poke so many holes in these silly, silly things you're saying. Yeah. But for your own sanity, you have to draw a line. You have to draw a boundary. So while I have a good relationship with him regarding like my personal life, like we still struggle to see eye to eye on the world in many, many ways. But again, I think it's all because of the same reason. Like, it's all because the people in power don't want people to be breaking down those barriers, breaking down those walls, because then their way of life, where they're sitting pretty on top without question, is threatened. And they don't want that at all.
Yeah. Makes sense. Period. And also, period. Like, we could go so far down that rabbit hole, but for today, we'll set that one aside. Thank you for sharing that. I think that is absolutely helpful and useful for everyone today. So, let's see, switching gears here a little bit, I would love to hear, what is it like for you being on stage in front of people? I mean, you're on a literal stage often, and you're also on a virtual stage. I mean, you have a sizable online following with nearly 40,000 followers on Instagram now, and almost 50,000 on TikTok. Like, eyeballs are on you.
Yes, eyeballs are on me, and I think two very different experiences for me. I love being on a real stage. Like I said, I've performed my entire life. I feel very, very comfortable talking to large groups of people. I do not love the digital stage. And I think if I truly believe there was any way for me to be successful in this industry without social media, I would do it in a heartbeat. But like so many things in 2023, it's a necessary evil. I don't really know how I would promote myself or promote my actual art without it. Like, and I talked about this a couple months ago with my boyfriend, because I felt like social media was becoming this weird, I guess, job that I had to do, or like this weird, I mean, and I don't mean to discredit anyone who, like, content creation is their life. Like, I used to have a
Right.
lot of fun doing that before the pandemic, and I don't know, I just really lost the spark for it. And now it's become this thing that I have to focus on and get people to care about so that they will think about caring about this other thing that I really want them to care about, you know?
Which is
And
you being like on stage, coming to one
which is
of
like
your
coming to my
shows.
show, like
Okay.
coming to my show or like watching my web series or like following my acting journey or whatever. But in order to do that, I've got to be successful on social media in like all of these ways and all of these different platforms. And um, I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't know. I think I also struggle too with just like this idea of like an enclosed perception of myself. Like I don't like the idea some video of me popping up or a picture of me popping up on somebody's page who's never seen or heard of me before, and then that's their entire perception of who I am.
Mm.
And obviously this is just like the internet and I need to get over it. But I really do struggle with this concept of people not understanding facets to individuals and how we're all multifaceted. And
Yeah.
I don't know. When I started really trying to focus on social media, like a little over a year ago, I think I was like, okay, I just gotta rip the Band-Aid off. You know, of course, having any kind of presence comes with comments that are nice and comments that aren't nice. And I had to take the Beyonce approach and just stop reading comments because everyone has an opinion, right? And you're never going to please anybody. And no, not everybody's going to think you're funny, or not everybody's going to think that your content is, you know, slaying the house down booties. And I would just take it really
Yes.
personally. People would like make fun of me for something I said. And I was like, oh, but that's not even true because look at this other thing I did where I was doing exactly what you just said I could have been doing. And I was like, you know what? I just got to stop. And I think this too, I think what my therapist says, I think that, and I agree that I think it all goes back to just like being in the closet and trying to be a people pleaser for
Mm.
so much of my life, for the first 2 decades of my life, just because if I could just get people to like me and I could just be amenable and mold myself into this, into whatever I need it to be for that situation, then they wouldn't ask questions and no one
Right.
was going to focus on me too much, you know? But now that I'm not that person anymore, it really, it stings a little bit when I don't know how to please these people.
Mm.
And I think what I've accepted in the past very recently, actually, I turned 30, which was a big moment for me earlier this year.
This year you
Um,
turned 30. Okay.
I did,
Happy
yeah, in
belated
May.
birthday.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, in May. And I just had to. I didn't want to carry that with me into this new decade. You know, I wanted to just embrace what I have to offer. You know, I don't ever want to be like a crowd pleaser in the sense that I don't know who I could say right now without insulting somebody, but like for some reason going to the Big Bang Theory, like highest rated show on television for too many years, right? And but it's because it just appealed to the masses. But like I don't know anybody that actually likes that show except my mom, but she doesn't count. Her taste is questionable. Um, but I don't want to be that. I want to do something that's less amenable and something that's more
Mm.
niche and something that's more honest and individual because that's what I am. I don't think that I am for the masses. Like I am like a very queer man who has a lot of sex with boys and
Mm.
I love pop music and I can't think of anything else I'm interested in. I love trivia and I am obsessed with the OA. Like I just have all these tiny little things about me that I'm trying really hard to celebrate about myself in my
Yeah.
30s. And that's what I think I'm trying to do online as well. And
Mm.
try to bring the energy that I have on stage or the mentality I have on stage into the mentality I have when I'm working on social media. It's like, you know what? I'm here to have fun. Like whatever, like I don't need to dwell on what every person in the audience is thinking because I don't. Like I get up, I perform, and then I leave and I'm like, oh, that was fun. So I don't need to sit and dwell and, you know, read comments like, oh, what is like user 125342 thinking about my punchline? Like I don't need to worry about that. So
Yeah.
all of that to say, I feel very comfortable on stage and I'm working on feeling more comfortable in a digital space. Button. Boom. There we go. Wrapped it up.
I love the punchline, the summary sentence you gave us.
Yeah. She's a copywriter. Okay, I'm always going to come to a conclusion.
There you go. Yes. So you are good at what you do on the side too.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh, you
side
have to
thing.
be.
Yeah.
You have to be.
I mean, I was going to ask you, the next question I had was, what do you do to maintain authenticity with all these eyes on you? But I think you really answered that question really well there, that you do want to be an authentic, like multifaceted person, and you see others and people in general as not just this easily summed up 30-second
Yeah, and you know
reel.
what too? I mean, like when I was first starting, like TikTok specifically, like I put off TikTok for so long. It was so big during the pandemic, and I certainly could have been working on that and like building a presence, but quite frankly, I was too depressed to be thinking about my career. But when I started focusing on it, all I could really think to do was like hop on these trends, like because like that's what'll get these eyes on me. But
Right.
now I'm trying to shift. Like I kind of stopped doing that because I don't want to fucking do that. Like I don't want to be a content creator. I don't want to just be like riding these trend waves forever. Like again, like I want to make my own art and I want to direct attention to it. But I think you have to play a bit of the game to
Sure.
get that initial audience. And this is by no means like a master class because it's very much a work in progress, but this is my mentality, I think, for it.
Yes. That's all we want here. We don't need a fucking
Right.
master class. We just want to know, hey, what's been working for you? The real shit.
Thus far,
Um,
that's about it.
yeah, love that. Um, I mean, you come across as a very like confident person who knows who he is. What
Mhm.
tips do you have for that? And also, like, what's your internal experience like? Because I know mine can often be way more insecure on the inside than I appear on the outside. So,
Oh, sure, for sure. I mean, we're all insecure.
totally.
I so wait, what is the question? Just how to be
Okay, the
confident?
summary is, what tips for confidence do you have?
Gosh, I don't know because I mean, you're right. Like people can seem like the most confident person ever, but you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. But and honestly, I think a lot of where my confidence, like my external confidence, like where that light seems to come from, is actually again going back to just having to push out this personality of being friendly and doing again whatever people need me to do in the time. So when I was closeted, they weren't poking holes in this narrative that I
Mm,
was spinning. And that's not to say that I'm not confident and that it's all been like a trauma response, but I think that it's a different kind of confidence as, a queer person wearing heels, walking down some downtown alley that I'm doing now than I was like at 15, just walking through the high school trying to blend in.
right.
But I don't know. I don't know. I really struggle to care what people in real life think, which again is where I'm trying to get to with the digital space. Like, I just want to live my life, and I think that I live my life in a way that I stay in my own lane. I'm not bothering anybody online in real life. Like, I'm not here to start shit. Like, I'm here for a good time. And I think that if I was to ask my friends or people that I know here in LA, like what their experiences with me, like in the room, I would hope that I'm just like there to have fun. I'm there to have a good time. And like I had a birthday party again for my 30th, and there was some like friends of friends that showed up, and they were just there to have a great time. And my boyfriend took that after. I'm like, I want to be better friends with them. Like I want that energy in my life all the time because that's what I want to give out. Like I just want to show up
Mm,
to have fun and show up to have a good time. And I think that a lot of that energy maybe comes across as confidence. And there are things that I'm very confident in, and there are of course things that I'm not so confident in. I mean, back to I think this year, well, later last year, I decided that I wanted to get serious about acting again. I hadn't really acted since before the pandemic, and of course, doing stand up, there is performance involved, but I don't know, I don't always want to perform shit that I write. I'd love to do something with somebody else's material. And I got serious about that. But at the time I was 29, I'm like, I'm a bit late to the game. Like, this is LA, 25 is late to the game. And I just sat with myself a lot and had to ask myself, like, what has taken me so long to get to this place? Why am I so scared of, being on camera? And as silly as it was, I realized I had to get a nose job. So I got a nose job in January,
Yeah.
and my confidence skyrocketed. I was like, amazing. Now I can be on camera, and now I can have fun, and I feel way more confident just in every aspect of my life. But like nobody noticed that I did that, because it's just this thing that I was hyper focused on, and it wasn't like an egregious change to my face in any way, but it was this very small, albeit very expensive change that I just needed to make for myself. And whether it was, actually something that's going to have any effect on my career, not sure yet. Maybe it's just a placebo effect for me, but that's totally fine too. Like I would spend the same amount of money just to feel the way that I do about myself and what I feel like I'm capable of now, more so than if you had asked me end of last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
so to sum up, if you want to feel confident, go get some plastic surgery. And no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Also a lot of therapy. Great.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, also I love that you brought that up, because I think, as RuPaul says, everything is drag, and we're all constantly putting on some kind of show. We're always altering our appearance, and there are certain forms of that we deem as like acceptable and righteous, and then there's forms of it that we're like, oh my God, something's wrong with them for getting plastic surgery. But it's okay to like buy expensive clothes or facial products or makeup, or like, why not just let people do what the fuck they want to do that they enjoy?
It's so true. And to be fair, like half of it was medical, but then he's like, I can also just like straighten this for you. I'm like, yeah, do it, please do it. Because I like, I don't know, I just, again, like I was willing to take this risk for myself. And I think that, there's a nuance to those things too. Like if you want to get plastic surgery, you totally should get plastic surgery, but I'm never in a position where I'm like promoting it.
Right.
Or like, you need to do this, or people should be doing this to their bodies, or like a certain brand of celebrity that's like always changing what the hot body shape is. Like that shit gives me the ick. Like it really, really does. But I don't think that I'd ever want to like be secretive about it, because like I did it, and I'm more than happy that I did. It's the best thing I ever did for myself, So like, if you're doing it to like, not fulfill, that's the wrong word, but like to achieve is also the wrong word. Damn. See, now I know I should have taken my Adderall.
I mean, is it just like it was a desire that you had for your life versus, oh, I have to do this in order to impress people?
No, I genuinely just didn't feel comfortable on camera. Like I would never audition for like film auditions. That's why I stuck to the stage primarily. Mm-hmm. Even when I was shooting my web series, like I was very careful to shoot from like specific angles of myself. And that's just not like a sustainable way to exist or succeed in this industry. So it really felt like, I don't know, maybe it actually sounds bad when I say it that way, like I have to change for the industry, but I was willing to give it a go, And again, like I didn't do anything super crazy. Like if you saw a picture of me before and you saw a picture now, like I don't think that it would be super obvious. But I don't know. It was something that I was comfortable doing, and something that I thought about since I was 20. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I like to blame my parents for it, actually, because my mom. So I have two younger siblings, right? And everybody was C-sectioned, except for me, where she tried to give birth to me 12 hours naturally before they were like, maybe we should just do a C-section. And so when I went in for my initial consultation, the doctor was like, have you ever broken your nose? And then it just like healed incorrectly. I was like, no, but ... Right. My mom did try to deliver me via her canal for like 12 hours before the doctor told her it wasn't happening. He was like, yeah, that's what happened. So I sent my parents the bill for the situation. I was just doing my best with the circumstances I was given, okay?
Yes. Too funny. Well, okay. I want to ask a couple questions that the audience asked. So let's like rapid fire these real quick. Okay. The first one, this is like a deep question. So do your like quick answer here.
Okay.
Because I think we already kind of got
Not
into
my
it.
specialty, but let's try.
Mine either. So we'll see. All right. Let me not punch the mic. How has having a conservative upbringing adjusted your views of your self-worth?
Great question. Also, something I tackle a lot in my show. I think for kind of what I spoke about earlier, like it put me in a box, and it felt like I never thought about breaking out of the box. So I thought about, how do I survive in this box? How can I thrive in this box? And after a while, you just kind of come to that not really seeming like a feasible option for you. And I think you come to a place, and I've had I'm already off the chart of quick answers here, but I've been very open, like in my
we have frozen here.
like, of course, what's the cliche phrase about coming out? It's like, it gets better. And like, I hate to say that, but God, it's so true. It really is so true. Sometimes things that are cliche for a reason, because my life pre coming out just feels like a different one. Like, it's just a different person. That's why I was laughing earlier when I think about it. Like, I've come so far from, I hope, who knows what I'll be unpacking next week on my therapy counts, but I've come so far from like the trauma of my childhood that it really does, like, I feel like I have to, like, I don't know, log back into that email in my mind. And I'm thinking, God, okay, like, where have I put all these things? Because I genuinely don't think about it anymore. I feel very removed from my conservative upbringing, and certainly not by accident. I've done that to myself, and I would do it 1,000 times over again. But I think that, to answer the question in one sentence, it has made me very rebellious and very proud in almost a spiteful way. Like, I love to show up, again, just like in the gayest thing you could imagine, and just like stare down the bikers on the street as I'm walking past in my little heels and fishnets. Like,
yes.
I just love to put on a show. I love to piss people off too. I'm also petty, so there's that.
Love it. So, I mean, it sounds like it did have an effect, it sounds like, on your self-worth, but as you've worked through that in therapy and everything, that has had a tremendous impact on the way that you, on purpose, like, dare yourself to just show up and piss people off.
Yeah, you just have to build those self-confidence bricks back, brick by brick, not to use another wall metaphor. I'm all over the place, but it's true.
Very true. Okay, let's see. Let's do two more. All of these were submitted anonymously, so let's see.
Okay.
I know, right? So I don't have any name to add to these, but what is something about your identity that people might not know at first glance?
Identity. God, I feel like there's so many ways to take that question. I don't know. I use he him pronouns in my daily life, but for a while, and I think the year and a half coming out of quarantine, which I guess just like the last 2 years in general, and like moving to LA, was very freeing. It felt like suddenly there were no holds barred. From being in your house, locked up all the time, not seeing anybody, to now like being in Santa Monica and on the streets of West Hollywood, where you can really do anything and be anyone, and nobody's going to blink twice. And I think that first year of me living here was very that. Every party you go to has a theme. Every event has like a dress code. One of the first parties I went to when I went here was, you could only wear black and white or you wouldn't be let in. I'm like, oh, this is the most LA thing I've ever heard of. But I was living for it, and I was really loving exploring my femininity. And I had lost a bunch of weight post-pandemic, and I loved feeling like this pretty little girly. And there was a few months there where I was like thinking a lot about how, like, and I mean, of course, like, pronouns are just like always in the discourse. Not for allowing these conservatives to shut the fuck. I was doing a lot of thinking about my own identity, and I was doing a lot of thinking about how I felt like I wanted to be perceived versus how I wanted to live my life. And I went around and around with it for a while, and I had conversations with, people that I love and people that love me. And I think I came to the conclusion that like him feels good for me. And like I love dressing very feminine, and I love tackling the feminine side of me. But I think most of all, like I love standing in the face of man, I love standing in the face of this idea of what a man should be and saying, well, actually, a man can be anything. I'm a man too. And I can wear whatever I want because of it. So I don't know if that actually answers the question, but that's where my mind went when hearing identity.
I love that answer. That is such a fun thing to learn about you. Okay. Thank you for that. Let's see. One last question. Again, anonymous here. Where or with whom do you feel the strongest sense of community?
Okay, two separate things, because I feel like with whom is easy. It's with my boyfriend, Owen. Love of my life, best person I've ever met. The reason that I'm chasing my dreams is because he's encouraged me and he's helped put up those bricks of my own self-confidence. So I have to say him. Community is interesting because I think that there was a time where I could have said LA, but because like, you can't just be anybody and it's so free here. But I think there's also like this other side of LA that feels like a competition, and it feels like everybody's trying to be something or do something, which is great, and it's one of the reasons I'm here. But after a while, it can wear you down. It's like, oh fuck, well, I'm not doing XYZ like, this guy's doing. Another reason that I really struggle with being online. I wish to death I could just be offline and do my own thing, but that's not the world we live in. So to where and with whom? Gosh, maybe like the middle of the high tops dance floor. When I'm just dancing on a Friday night, I feel really free. And again, like it's in West Hollywood, so like you can feel free. And I took a trip to PV for my 30th. Have you ever been?
No.
Oh, you have to go. I'd never walked into a city that was so full of gay people, especially in a foreign country. And like I've seen my fair share of foreign countries. My boyfriend and I both, we just thought it was like the trip of our lifetimes. Like I was just so enamored with how comfortable and safe I felt. And I don't know. It seems like a weird random answer, but that's what's coming to me here in this moment. So I'm going to say in PB with my man. And
love it.
Sorry, all over the top.
This is
all over the top.
Everyone listening right now is loving this. I know they are. They're having a great time. If they like listening to me because I do about 50-50 now, solo and guest episodes. If they like listening to me, they're going to enjoy this. Mine are very chaotic.
Okay, good.
I'm like, hi, I have a message for you, but first I'm going to talk about 30 minutes of other things, and then I'll give it to you at the end in 5 seconds. It's a lot of foreplay. All right, y'all. If you want to be able to ask questions of future guests, you got to join the Instagram broadcast channel, and in there you'll be able to ask your questions and join in on the conversation, as well as get more inside information about upcoming guests. Before we head out, Quincy, what else do you want to share with our listeners today? Where can they find you? What can they do? How can they support you? How can they get more of you?
You can find me on any relevant platform look at Quincy. I'm doing shows. I'm always doing shows, but I'm doing my show in New York and LA this fall. So look out for that announcement coming very soon. And I would love to see everybody there. And I love meeting people. I love saying hello. And then, yeah, of course, come listen to Dom Pop as well. If you love hearing me ramble, but you want to hear me ramble about pop music, come listen to Dom Pop. New episodes every Thursday.
All right. There you go. So we'll have links to that in the show notes for everyone. It's you and your friend Hayden, right, who do Dom Pop together?
Yes.
Cool. We'll link all of this in the show notes. And go follow Quincy. Go enjoy all of his stuff. All right. Any final words before we head out today?
No, this was so much fun. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Alex. This was such a fun conversation.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad that I was able to have you on the show today and that we could all learn some things from you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. I'll see you on the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend so they too can become more confident. You can also help more people find the show by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. And if you want to become a more confident queer with support from yours truly, head to coachalexray.com or use the link down in the show notes. I'm looking forward to working with you.